Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, let's fire on this. So, I want to welcome you to the sixth day of this tutorial. It's been nice, having you guys participate in this program, and it has also been encouraging for me, to share my knowledge with some people like you. So, having said that, in the couple of days now, we've been talking about different areas of SPSS and how they can be used. Mr. Hassan, please just mute yourself. When you have to talk, you unmute yourself. Okay.
All right. All right.
Yeah, and the last class we had, we were able to do a couple of things. We were able to use transform tool. We were able to do hypothesis testing, like we ran a correlation. But today we are going to look at hypothesis testing, majorly. So we can be able to know how to do or to run some hypotheses, especially maybe running a correlation or a regression or even any other type of hypothesis that your work might need you to do. Okay, so I'm not sure if we understand what I mean by hypothesis. So if we do, that will help us to be able to understand ourselves better. So do you understand what I mean by hypothesis?
Sure.
Okay, some disciplines don't really do hypothesis in their research. I don't know. Emeka, do you understand what is hypothesis?
Not really.
Okay, good. Okay, anyway, Mr. Hazard, what about you?
Yes, I passed through it when I was doing my first project.
Okay, good. Okay. So now let me go back to the data we used the other time. It's on the group chat. You can actually access it and use it. Okay, it's on the group chat. So I will open that data again. Let me download it. So that's what we'll use and continue with the class. Okay, just feel free to ask me any question anywhere you feel confused, so I can just go back. Okay, you're able to see my screen now, so you can also, if you're using your system, you can download the data and open it, or you just pay attention as we walk through it. So mine has opened. Okay, so is anybody seeing what I'm doing?
I can see it very well.
Okay, so we're going to create a hypothesis now to be able to use this data to work. So the first data, the section B that I have here is channel. Okay, it's talking about media channel, while section C is talking about importance of television programs. Okay, so now one of the hypotheses could be what is the how would I put it? One of the hypotheses could be what is the significant, let's say media information does not have a significant relationship with listening pleasure of respondents or listening pleasure of radio listeners. I don't know how to put it. I'm looking for something that is simpler. Okay, but it has to do with significance level to be able to say that the hypothesis is significant or not significant. So now that we have two separate information, we need to correlate it together if it is a relationship, or regress it together if it is an effect or impact or influence. I don't know if I'm confusing you, or if I'm speaking a higher language. You can let me know. I can break it down, or can do something else so that I don't confuse you further. Okay, but these are part of the things you will experience once you are a data analyst, especially if you are dealing with students or you're analyzing questionnaires. Once you're doing any of them, you must test hypothesis, because it would, once you have research objective, research questions, most times you will have research and hypothesis. So once you have those three things, you need to know what to use or what tool to use to be able to analyze or find out the relationship or the effect between one variable and another. Okay, so let me just do something simple. I will extract this data and put it into something else, and we can use that. So let me just say I will extract this into 20. Okay, so let me open new. So just hold on, I will show you what I want to do now. Okay, so now I'm opening up a new text. Let me share my screen. I'm opening up. Okay, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So let me quickly identify these things differently so that we will understand it. So let me go to variable view. So I'll change these names to, let's say, A1. This one will be like A2. This one will be like A2. Okay, sorry. So this one will be like A2. This one will be like A3. A3. This one will be, let's say, B1. This one will be like B2. This one will be like B3, and then this one will be like B4. Okay, so like I said the other time, when we have something like this, the next thing we will need to do is to add label to it. So our label here, this one can be, it can actually be anything. Actually, normally it will be the research questions. Okay, so since it is not our concern now, so let's leave it. We already understand how to use that place. What we just want to do now is to do a comparison between variable A and variable B. So the next thing I will do now is to go to transform and compute the variables into two things. So let's say for variable A, let's call it sales. So I will add them 1, I will add plus 2, I will add plus 3. So this is sales. So I'll go to label and put sales again, sales. So now I'll say okay. Then I'll do the same thing for the second variable. I'll compute it. So sales, let me put this one as consumers. So let me come here and put consumers. So I will now compute this once again. I'll say B. If I put B1 here, now I'll put plus, because I want to sum it. I'll put another plus. I'll bring this one. I'll put another plus, and I'll put this one. Good. So it has analyzed. Okay. So now this is what I want us to do now. I want to see the effect of sales on performance. So let me change this in performance so that it makes more sense. So I'll come here and also put performance. Okay. Is anyone seeing what I'm doing, please?
Yes, boss.
Okay. So now let me explain now before we move on so that you understand. So now I'm saying that to run a hypothesis, let's assume in your questionnaire you have sales, then you have performance, and then maybe you are using sales to predict performance, meaning that you are saying that the more the sales, the more the performance. Like the more organization is able to sell its products, the more performance the organization will experience. Okay, now if that is the case, the hypothesis might read something like there is no significant relationship, or rather there is no significant effect of sales on organizational performance, something like that. Or if you want to check the relationship between sales and organizational performance, we will have a statement like there is no significant relationship between sales and organizational performance. I don't know if you get. So if let's assume we have these two things. If you are talking about relationship, the tool you will use to do relationship is a, a correlation. We call it Pearman's correlation method. Then the other one is if there is something like there is no significant effect, you'll be thinking of something like regression analysis. Another regression analysis, you have simple regression, you have multiple regression, you have hierarchical regression and all that. You have different types of regression, but each of these regression I mentioned have when they are to be used. Okay, so because of that, we will just stick our lessons to simple linear regression, and it has to do with two one dependent and one independent variable, so two variables actually. Okay, so that is why we have variable A and variable B. So now let's assume you are getting what I'm saying, and I want us to test that. I will actually take you back to SPSS and show you what I will do. So I will go to my SPSS, and if you check, we now have sales and performance because we have computed it. So this is our sales, this is our performance. So since sale is predicting performance, we are going to go to analyze and do the first one. The first one is there is no significant relationship. There is no significant relationship. So when we're talking about a relationship, we're talking about correlation. So if you go to analyze, which is here, you come down to correlate. So when you go to correlate, you select bivariate. Bivariate is because you are testing two things. You are testing one dependent and one independent variable. So if you say bivariate, you already, these are your questions, these are your research questions here. But now we have computed them into two things, sales and performance. So I will highlight both of them together and push them inside this box that is open. So when I push them inside that box, I don't need to select any other thing because every other thing would have been selected automatically. Okay, then I will just say okay. When I say okay, this is what it will give me. So this becomes my output. Is anyone following me?
Yes, sir.
Is it looking confusing?
Somehow.
Okay.
Exactly, somehow.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe if you have not really been following from the beginning, it might look confusing.
Yeah, sorry, but I can't actually see your screen,
Again or now?
bro. No,
Yeah. Can you see it now?
no, I cannot.
Okay. So this is what I'm talking
You need
about.
to go out and come back.
Okay.
So these are the two things I'm talking about, sales and performance. So now having run the analysis, we now have an output. This is it here. Okay, so I will not go further until we understand it. So I will take it all over again. I'll take it all over again. Esther Kelvin, you're welcome. It's like I'm seeing you for the first time here. Esther, are you there? Okay. So now let me explain again. Let me explain again what I mean by correlation, or what I mean by hypothesis again. Hypothesis in research is a statement of assumption. It's a statement of assumption, okay, where you make statements to predict something. and now I'm using sales and performance, and I'm trying to say that an organization might want to say, does our sales predict how well our organization is performing? If that's what they want to do in your study, let's say your studies, okay, let's just use an instance, Babcock University and guest house is trying to find out the relationship between their sales and their performance. Okay, and then they are saying that, okay, the assumption is there is a significant relationship between sales and performance. Okay, so that's a statement of assumption. That is hypothesis. So the only way you'll be able to know if that is correct is to get the data for sales. You get the data for performance. Two things. So when you get them, you relate them together. When you're relating them together, you're doing correlation. You do relationship. You relate them together to see if the significant value is less or higher than 0.05. And then let's assume the organization is saying that we want to find out the effects or the impact or the influence or however they use it, but if it's suggesting effects of sales and performance, it means that they want you to do something we call regression analysis, because that's effect. So it means you are going to also do the same thing. You compute your sales variables, compute them and have it as a single variable, and compute your performance and have it as a single variable. So you have them two like this. Now you're going to be looking for effect. You are saying that sales, this hand is sales, this one is performance. Sales is a determining factor to our performance. So you are using sales to predict performance. And then how to translate it into analysis is to conduct that hypothesis testing. And this is what we will do. So I will take you back again to SPSS and do the same thing again, so you understand what I mean. So maybe you can take another example to explain it better. Okay, so if I open back to my SPSS, I say this is sales. Remember, this whole A to this place is sales, and by the time you compute it, you get it here. This is B, which is performance. By the time you compute it, you get performance here. Okay, this one we've done it. Some of you should understand how we get this, because we've done computation under transform 2. Okay, so now having done this, I will come to analyze. Because I want to do correlation, first of all, I will go to bivariate. Then you see they are already here, so but I will remove it since we are going to redo it. So normally they will be here. So what I will do is to copy them and then push them inside this box, and then once I push them inside that box, I will say okay. So when I say okay, this is how the result will come out. This is the correlation result or a correlation table. So the next thing you will do is to interpret all these things inside it. But we will not do that now because I'm sure most of us are trying to understand what we are doing. So I will spare us from the interpretation for now. Now the next thing is, let's say we want to check for influence or for effects. I'll go back to the same analyze, but this time around, instead of going to correlate and bivariate, I will go to regression. Do you understand? So if I enter regression, I will go to linear. This is where it will bring me. I know, remember we talked about dependent and independent variable. So in your study, you will have already known the variable that is dependent and the variable that's independent. Okay, so to decide that, for instance, in these two now, sales and performance, the dependent variable is performance. So I'll put performance under dependent. And why is dependent is because we are saying that for performance to be good, it is dependent on sales. And sales is independent. So for performance to be better, it is dependent on sales. So meaning that if there are more sales, then it means the organization will be performing properly. So now, having put this together, every other thing would have been highlighted and ticked automatically. You see them here. So I don't need to change anything. except if there are some specific things I want to get. But for now, there is nothing specific I want to get apart from what has already been set automatically in the system. So I'll just say, okay, the table of this regression analysis will be different from correlation. So this has more interpretation to be done, and then if you do it, then that will be the end. But I'm not going to do that. I just want us to understand where I am, and I'm kind of I'm kind of I'm feeling like most of us are not seriously following. So
I'm following.
okay, Mr. Valentine, you are following. Yes, maybe because of how far we've come.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So, Emeka, where are you getting lost?
I think the problem is from.
I'm just following. I'm not lost yet.
Okay, Chibuzo, you're saying something.
I think the problem is from where they did not cover.
Okay. Yeah, the previous classes.
Yes. That's the point. Yes.
Okay, we
Because
might
some
just
people will be wondering how we generated those sales
and performance.
and performance. I think that's the problem, because any other thing there is self-explain.
Yes.
Maybe you can touch it a little bit for them.
I might just go back and refresh. Mr. Titus, you're welcome. It's good to see you here, sir.
So well done, sir.
Well done too. It's like you're also joining us for the first time.
Yeah, I'm joining for the first time.
No more. Okay, good. So we'll just quickly brush all that we've done, okay, so that everybody can be carried along. So let me go back to SPSS data entry. Data entry was the first thing we did. Okay, so I'll just share my screen again for the sake of some of us that are new. Okay, so data entry first of all. So let's say I'll clean all this data. So having cleaned all this data, this is our data view and this is our variable view, data view and variable view. So normally the data view is usually empty until you fill it with data. Okay, so I will hypothetically add some data for us to work with. So let's say, okay, so let's say you are back from your study, you have shared your questionnaires. For those who are using questionnaire, you have shared your questionnaires and you have coded them. I've taught us how to do coding, and you are inputting your data. Let's say 1, 2, let's say 1, 3, 4, 5, 4. Let's say this is what you are doing, and this is what you are doing. This is what you are doing. This is this, and so on. So let's just say this is a realistic data, and you're just putting things like this. So let's say you have put it there. So let me just copy and paste, not to waste our time. So I'll just put this. Okay, so let's assume we have created our data. This is our data now, and I want to analyze this data. For me to make this sense out of this data, I will go to variable view and label them. Okay, look at this place. We've labeled it before: A1, A2, A3, B1, B2, B3, B4. So this A1 will be like section 1 or section A, whilst this B section will be like section B. So let's say section 1 is demographics, where you have age and gender, and let's say marital status, something like that, marital status. Okay, and let's say this one is now, they just put something goes, money, they just say Apple, so let's say and so on. So let's just say these are what we have in section B now, and I want to analyze this. So let's say this is our data, and I just want to do a simple frequency or a descriptive analysis. I'll go to analyze. You are still seeing my screen, Abby?
Yes.
I'll go to
Yes, boss.
analyze. So when I go to analyze, I will come to descriptive statistics, and I will go to frequencies. If I click frequencies, whatever I want to analyze, I can analyze it. So I want to know how many. Okay, even before we analyze, there's something else we need to do. We need to add values to it. Okay, so since the first one is age, so I'll classify age into two. So 1 will mean ages 1 to 0 or 1 to 5. 1 to 5 years. I'll add it. 2 will be 6 to 10 years. Okay, then I'll say okay. Then for the for A2, that might be gender. So I will say 1 is male. Okay, and then 2 will be female. Okay, then 3 is marital status. So 1 will be single, 2 will be married. Okay, so having done this, I can now say analyze. So when I say analyze, I go to descriptive frequency. So I want to check how many of them are between age 0 to 5. If I say analyze, it will give it to me. So if you look at it, you will see it. Okay, now there is an issue with this data because we didn't capture all that we put there. You know, this data we just formulated it. So let me go back to the data and cross-check it and fix it properly. So for this we have 3. We also have 3 again. We have 3. Okay. So what I'll go back to the variable view and edit this one. So this will be 1 to 3, so that we can capture the data properly. 1 to 3 change. So this one will be 4 to 10. So let's just say 4 to 10. Okay, good. So I will rerun it again under analyze, descriptives, and then frequency, and then I will say okay. Okay, so the same issue is still there because I'm not sure I've gotten it properly. So let me go back again to that same place and still fix it. Okay, you see, so this one is 0 to 1, 0, 0. Okay, good. So let me check again. If you check this data, you have okay. Oh, okay. We also have 4. 2, 2, 2, 2, 3. Okay. So the data is not, this data is not proper. So let me just add 1 or 2 things. So let me put here 1, so that it can help us to understand what we are doing. So let's put again, let's say 4. Let's put again, let's say 1. So we'll have at least, if I put this in now, we'll have 4 to 10 years, and then okay. So I'll go back there again and fix it properly. So go to variable view here now and say this one is 1 to 2 years. Let me just say 1 to 2 years. 2 years. Change it. So this one will be like 3. No, this one will be 2. We mean 3 to 10 years. So let's just do like that. So if we say okay, I will analyze and then bring it out. So age is there already. So if I say okay, so it will give me all the information. Okay, let's even leave that age and look for another variable so I will not waste time. So I'll still go do the same thing. I'll go to transform. I will go to analyze, pick another variable that I'm looking for, and then run the analysis. So let's say gender. If I put gender here, it will give me to give me female. Okay. Let me just use a correct data so that this I will not confuse us the more. So let me use a correct data, please. Okay, so let me go back to this place. Remove all this and paste it. Okay, if that one is taking time too, I can remove it and use this instead. I can use this data instead of wasting our time. So now if you check this data, okay, that network was bad. I didn't even know I was thrown off. So Emeka, are you following? So I can take it all over
Yes,
again.
yes, sir.
Sorry?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Esther Jibola, you're welcome. It's like it seems I'm seeing the name for the first time. Okay, so let me take you back to my sharing my screen again. Okay, so in fact, what I want to do is just open a fresh SPSS so that we can use it to work. So let's say okay, so let's say open this. Okay, can you see it?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so I was quickly trying to show us how to do the analysis, So under section A. Under section A, A1 is talking about age or so, okay, gender. So under these values, we'll indicate it with male and female because gender is male and female. So we'll say that male will give it 1, female will give it 2. So it means that we're telling SPSS that whenever you see male 1 and 2 in under that column, you should represent it as male and female. Okay, so having said that, if we run the analysis now, go to analyze, select descriptives and go to frequencies. If you bring it in and say okay, it will analyze it for you. Okay, so this will be your results. You have male, you have female. So male is 144, which is 60%, while female is 94, which is 40%. Okay, then if you also want to do the same thing again in another variable, you go there, frequency, you select age. Okay, so when you select age, you bring it in and you say okay. When you say okay, it will analyze it as well. So this is age for you, and it shows that 25 to 30 years are 23%, 31 to 35 are 33%, and so on and so forth. So that is what analysis tool helps you to achieve. And if you want to bring all of them together to appear in one box, you can actually highlight what you need and put them together. Okay, so at this point I'm highlighting all the demographics variable, and I'm highlighting them, and I will analyze it together. Now you see it to come out differently. Okay, so this is how it will come out. So it will bring out all the things together: gender, age, education, and then length of teaching, and then educational level. So you see bachelor's, master's, and doctoral. Okay, so that is this data for you. So The analysis tool can be used in various ways to actually solve related problems. So for you that have not really been consistent in the lesson, some of the things you may have missed them because you are not steady. So but you can actually begin your journey in analyzing questionnaires through what we have done so far. So maybe we can actually maybe meet one-on-one or something like that. Like I'll put you through, but you need to maybe start working or start playing around the data we've supplied on the group chat to see how far you can use them to your own advantage. I don't know if that makes sense. Emeka, are you there?
Yes, sir. Shall we?
Okay, good. So this is where we will draw the curtain for today because we've covered most of these things. And I'm thinking the next time we'll meet, we'll look at other things. And if you have questions or concerns, just reach out to me on WhatsApp. Just text me and say this is where I'm having a bit of challenge, and then we can fix it together. Thank you for participating here, and feel free anytime. Just reach out to me, and we'll sort out your issues together.
All right, sir.
Thank you very much, and see you next other time.